Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the TVL podcast. We're here to give you what you need on this fine Wednesday afternoon. I'm your host, Chris the DeFi Professor, and today we've got a great guest, someone that is here often, and when he's not here, like last week, I do miss him. Ladies and gentlemen, we have back with us, it's a Nebraska Boys show, as we have Logan, CEO, LFNull, also President, Stand With Crypto, Nebraska State Chapter. How are you, sir, today?
Doing wonderfully, Chris. Thanks for having me on. I missed you last week. You were about to say we've got a special guest. Yeah, I've got my popcorn today. We've got some big things going on with Clarity. There's some crazy news, and I think we might even have a surprise for everyone watching today. Just FYI.
Yeah, we will have that. So we'll talk about that towards the end because it's something that I think everybody needs. And one thing I want to do this week on Friday for Beat the Banks is I'm thinking about doing an ecosystem tour. We kind of did one for Robinhood last week, but I'm thinking we could do an actual blockchain ecosystem tour. I'm thinking it might be Solana. I'm not completely sure yet, but if there's a blockchain that you want to know more about and you want me to walk you through it and how we look at blockchains, let me know. Hit me there in the comments. Hit me there in the responses to the post. Let me know what we should do, because it's been a while since I've done a blockchain ecosystem tour. And what that means is I'll talk about how to get there, what are the main protocols you should consider, because every blockchain, you're going to need a decentralized exchange that you use to swap assets between each other. You'll also need, the correct wallet to go and navigate there to approve transactions, as well as some of the more popular protocols on that ecosystem. Happy to walk you through what they are, what they represent, and how you can find opportunities to specifically get different types of yield, or if you're looking to stake, anything that has to do with decentralized finance, or DeFi as we call it in that blockchain. Happy to go through it. So with that said, how has your day been going? I mean, it's kind of interesting, Logan. The last 48 hours have kind of been a bit of a whirlwind, because it went from I guess we're kind of looking to a world post no clarity to suddenly this might actually go. And this is something that I thought, much like the issues in Iran, we're either going to have an act of supreme humility or an act of supreme force. Strangely, I didn't think the Clarity Act and the conflict in Iran would have that type of parallel, if you're asking me. So, I mean, overall, what are your initial thoughts? And of course, we're gonna talk more about this. In fact, the bulk of today's episode will most likely be on Clarity. So
I guess just initial thoughts. I won't do my hardcore deep dive because I did have a Stand With Crypto meeting yesterday, and that group, because it's political advocacy, we've got some DC insiders and I got some secret alpha, but I will hold off on that for just a moment. That said, it just as of yesterday, Poly market went back up, I think, to 50%, and there was one point.
Oh, it's over 70%.
Wow, that is an absolute backflip 360 twist with a 10 score. And please forgive me if my video isn't coming through very clear. Seems like we're getting some bad weather and my camera is plugged in through a russet potato. Wrapped in tinfoil. That's important.
I mean, it's good for that, right?
Good.
Well, what happened here? We were doing really well yesterday. It's back down to 37%, but there might be.
Like you said, it's like the Iran war. The war is over. It's not a war. We're back at war. We're going to blow them away. We're going to destroy everything, but there's nothing happening. It's over.
I
and
know.
we're
Maybe
doing
there
this
was
like
another. Maybe there was a
routine.
different market. I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. But
I
looking at,
am
huh? Well, anyway, we're
wow,
it's
what a range!
it's soaring back up with
That's
the
the Freddie
idea.
Mercury of charts.
Yeah, I mean, for those who, as you all know, I've been bearish on this the entire year, not because of the act itself, but because of the process, right? For what they've been given, let's be honest, Senator Thune, who's the head of the Senate, did not really have a lot of, let's just call it motivation to bring this to the floor back in March. As quickly as possible, because the idea is that this was supposed to be signed not long after the Genius Act was signed back in July of last year. So, like I said, we'll come back to that. But I did, just to be faithful to the title of the episode today, is Cyclospora. Is what's funny is, like, last night I was talking to my wife about dinner. Neither one of us wanted to cook. And she's like, well, maybe we just get Taco Bell or something. And then getting closer to dinner, I was like, I don't know if I want to go to Taco Bell right now. And I drove by a couple yesterday, and I was like, I really do wonder what is the effect of restaurants like Taco Bell. I know that Jack in the Box also hit very hard by this. Something like this is just a bad look. Now, Taylor Farms, and ironically, when the news came out, I had just gone to Costco and bought Taylor Farms bagged salad. They have these 2-packs there of various flavors. There's Mediterranean Crunch. There's Southwest Ranch or whatever it's called. Very good in a pinch, right? I'll mix that with half of Costco's rotisserie chicken, for a very easy meal whenever you need something like that. So, I bought the chicken, and then I bought the salad, and then I got home, and then I saw this, and I was just, well, the initial investigation. I'm like, and I saw the word Taylor Farms, and I sat there. I was like, I just bought 2 big bags of Taylor Farms bagged lettuce, with the salad rather. So, a couple days later, I went and I brought them back, and they're like, was there something wrong? I'm like, well, yeah, Taylor Farms is the manufacturer of this. They're kind of being called out
I didn't
with
know
Taco
about it.
Bell. Well, they said I guess the FDA told them, as you see, do not eat recalled lettuce from Taylor Farms to Mexico. Um, Apparently there was another sample that came back with a false positive. Uh, so there was that. So now Taylor Farms is doing a quote unquote voluntary recall for this. Now, there's all kinds of political backlash on this, which I'm not going to go into because I don't want it to be that kind of show on Cyclospora. But apparently, there's been donations that have happened between the Taylor Farms founder and the current administration that may have lifted some oversight on how closely the inspections go because of things like Doge and the cutting of multiple federal programs to with staff to try and monitor things,
That
stuff.
Cyclospora communist.
Well, the
Sorry, you said
Politburo
we're
doesn't want explosive diarrhea, so I don't know. I can't say for sure, but ultimately, like I said, well, it's interesting. So, off topic
it
number
is
2 tangent, we'll talk about at the beginning because I did want to get your opinion on this. Both of us being former smokers. I think it's
that is
interesting.
so wild.
The Diet Coke is they're going, this can't be, this can't be this. I think this is rendered, but
That
still
must be a parody.
it is. But if you look at it, I mean, it literally looks like the Marlboro font. And I don't know if they're
Gives
just
me
trying to get
urges
patterned
right?
recognition for, like, people who smoke the Cowboy Killers. Like, man, what sounds good with this after watching TV? A
Smoke a
Diet Coke.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Diet Coke sounds delicious right now with my Marlboro cigarettes. Oddly, a pack of Marlboro Reds costs the same as a 12-pack of Diet Coke. In fact, it's more expensive than a 12 pack of Diet Coke.
Depends which state you're in.
That's true, but can you imagine that? That's like the world we're in now. It's like, yeah. I mean, it's a wild thought to think that a pack of cigarettes costs more than a 12 pack of diet soda. We're in that world, which is, I mean, it is what it is. I don't personally drink Diet Coke. I drink Coke Zero, which I don't think is any better, to be quite honest. But it is what it is. I don't know. Do you drink Diet Coke at all, Logan?
Never.
Good for you.
No, thank you. If I'm gonna have Coca-Cola, I want it to be Mexican. I want it made with actual sugar.
You want the glass bottle, right?
Yes, no high fructose corn syrup in it.
Exactly.
I want like actual. It tastes better. If you ever have a chance to have a Mexican Coke, my goodness, take note. Come on, America.
I don't necessarily disagree. But I don't agree. I think the taste is interesting. I wouldn't say that it tastes anything like American Coke because of the high fructose corn syrup, right? I love that. I love this idea, making it the Diet Coke
hilarious
with the Marlboro Lights.
Mm-hmm.
This is hilarious. Oh, Coke,
yeah,
you silly
they
goose.
must have had a Gen Z designer who, or like a boomer designer, one of the two, or they work together. And they're like,
I don't know.
It's time to revive this. We can combine them. Like, did they miss it? What? I guess my question is, was it intentional? Did someone say, "Hey, we're going to make the Marlboro link here"?
I mean, I think there's a lot of people who think that generational trends don't transcend, right? So if they just kind of bring it back, and it's been long enough that people will not realize it, almost like the Mandela effect, right? Where if you're like, I know I've seen that somewhere, and then somehow they go back and scrub history, like, no, that can't be true. I know that that's real. Like the whole thing with that's just a really deep rabbit hole. We'll talk about it another time.
We can save the Mandela effect for another episode if you want to look that up. Though it's pretty.
Yeah, the Mandela effect is pretty much the idea that you remember something as completely true, but when you go and do the research, it's actually not true. Just this is
based
further
on the idea that some people remember Nelson Mandela dying rather than having gone to prison and having become the president of South Africa.
At some point,
a bunch of other ones, Berenstain Bears.
Yep.
And there's so many. Fruit of the Looms logo.
Yes.
The Ford logo. There's a list of things where people have a memory hole or some kind of sociological phenomenon where we are collectively misremembering things. It's kind of fascinating.
Kind of like the idea that Bitcoin was once at $128,000, right? I think that's
no.
We never got that all-time high, guys. It's really simple. We've been in this pattern range for, since Joe Biden was in office. It's basically what it is.
We switched over to another universe at some point where
that's exactly what happened. Bitcoin was never $128,000, guys. That's the Mandela effect there. You can go check it. That's not real. Anyway, as we talk, Bitcoin rises above 66, and ultimately, it's outperforming ETH at this point. At one point last week, ETH was very much outperforming Bitcoin, but it seems to have kind of caught up. But there's a lot of interesting things happening with the markets. In fact, I think the other part that's interesting is, I don't have it up here, but the S&P 500 is also climbing, everything notwithstanding with regards to both an AI bubble as well as with President Trump looking to bomb Iran, along with Iran bombing data centers, apparently. The IRGC spokesman mentioned, at least according to Hormuz letter, that they had hit another UAE data center. So what's interesting is I had no idea that they actually hit some AWS centers in Bahrain and Qatar back in March. I thought that was interesting. I did not know that. So trying to cripple the West in any way possible, I guess, is really the way to go. We'll go ahead and move on to the next piece before we get to clarity. I wanted to talk about this just to kind of get your thoughts on this, Logan. So Jack, that would be Jack Dorsey,
I
uh,
love Jack Dorsey.
is has a new product
Fanboy.
besides
Mhm.
the Bitcoin relay chat that he had. This is actually, I believe it's probably built on top of that, but it's called Buzz. Uh, well, I take that back. It probably isn't because it's built in with block as opposed to uh,
Sure.
what's with the yellow? A lot of yellows. A lot of yellows today. Um, again, decentralized, self-sovereign, and open source, and it's a
So
group
what is
chat.
it? What's the deal? It's a group chat deal.
It's a group chat platform, right? I don't know if this is meant to try and attack Slack. Yeah, I think it's. Oh, I'm
Interesting.
sorry. It's meant to replace GitHub.
Oh, a GitHub killer.
Yeah. Well, I think that so it's kind of like Slack and GitHub put together with agentic stuff, which I think is interesting because one thing in the age of Mythos that's happened is that they brought GitHub to its knees with all of the security breaches that they had due to.
The age of Kimi.
Sure, we'll call it that too.
Just minor correction.
Sure. And I think it's
Sorry to interrupt.
interesting to see. No, you're fine. Because for what it's worth, GitHub is not the only Git repository that's available. There are multiple different repositories. There's GitLab. Uh, there's Git itself, which was created by Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux, and it's just a protocol to have distributed source control. So while GitHub is most likely the most well known and the largest, it's also owned by Microsoft. Uh, there are multiple groups that still have they're like there's other types of industries that have source control. Git is just probably at this point the most recognizable. So this could be big. This will definitely probably have an effect in the DeFi world, as frankly you're looking for some decentralized ways to have source control that's easy for people to kind of get on board. The onboarding experience is going to be the most important part. So hopefully it works out well. And for those who are developers in our group, definitely give Buzz a try. There seems to be
A buzz about it.
a buzz.
Sorry.
Winner! Ding 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 ding. uh, there you go.
I need to get a
That's
good
good.
soundboard in here, don't I?
We do. All right, let's go ahead and move on to clarity because that's the one big thing. So let's frame this a specific way, Logan. I want to do this specifically because, um,
Mhm.
for what it's worth, Senator Lummis has already put out what was given to the Senate Ranking Committee. Uh, but let's go with the let's start with the yes. Let's start with this. Eleanor Tourette. Shout out to Eleanor. Crypto America. So no, it's not this one. Well, we can talk about this specifically, but the idea is that there it is. We'll go with Wu Blockchain. The biggest issue with this passing, as we've talked about, is that it's an ethics problem, right? People are wondering, well, so what if the president owns crypto? It's a little bit more nuanced than that, right? And what's interesting is that this is the one thing that held things up because people had time to look at it. Once people had time to look at it, and frankly, it makes a lot more sense when and shout out to Kenny Wen, by the way. He got a letter from Adam Schiff, who's from California. And for people who are curious as to why this could possibly be a problem, and I completely forgot about this, Logan, it's this specific part here. Is that Senator Warren put in a letter to the Office of Government Ethics when Trump actually had a private dinner with the top. I think you had to own what 100 million Trump coin in order to go to this dinner. So you had people. I think it was like the top 10% of. It was roughly about I think like 85 people who came to the dinner, specifically
Justin
with
Sun
yeah
and
Justin Sun, who's the
Sec-
largest holder of Trump.
yes, Yes, and they ended up turning on him, and now he's in cahoots with World Liberty, and
Yep. Well, he's the largest holder of WLFI token as well.
mhm. It's
But the
kind of
fact
a
that the
one of those
fact that
situations.
the fact that the president launched a meme coin before his inauguration, by the way. So if you want to get technical, it came out before his inauguration. But it's a way to support the president, and for him to have a dinner specifically with a coin in his namesake only for people who held that coin. This is a problem, ladies and gentlemen. Regardless of how you feel about it, this is against everything in the this is everything in the Hatch Act, in the Emoluments Clause, all of this stuff. This is the problem with having him being the biggest KOL in this industry, right? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like if
Hmm.
people are like, if you ask people, what do you know about crypto? Most people will probably remember the Trump coin. Yeah, why not? They'll remember the Trump NFTs. Uh, they will probably remember the fact that there are random people who are profiting millions of dollars whenever he talks about oil or something like that suddenly out of nowhere. There is
It
a
hasn't made us look good.
exactly right, and that's the thing. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this specifically, Logan, because we're in terms of how I'm framing this, just giving you the reason why there is an ethics probe, right? This is just one of a couple of different reasons. Uh, you know, if you're coming into elected office, should you be required to divest any assets that you have, whether stocks or crypto? That's another question that needs to be answered by stuff like this.
Pete
Is it
Ricketts just went on record recently saying, "Hey, we can't have Congress investing in stocks." And he's a Republican, staunch Republican, and he's going up and speaking about that. And I've been in contact with Ricketts' office in regards to clarity, in particular because he's on the Senate Banking Subcommittee. And yeah, I think the thing holding it up right now is there's this ethics lack of clarity, really, and there's confusion around. Well, is this going to be helping? For example, we were talking to John Fetterman's office, not we as in me, but as in
Sam
members
crypto?
of Stanford Crypto. Right. And so there, it seems to be that there is concern that there will be people using this for nefarious means, saying, hey, what about Tornado Cash? What's your answer to Tornado Cash? And so our answer collectively at this point is, well, liquidity. You know, sure, there's going to be some money laundering here and there that's impossible to completely stomp out, even with the dollar. But at the end of the day, like, it's not like you've got nation states running trillions of dollars through a mixer. It's not that big of an industry really to support the level of crime uh, that even terrorists would hypothetically need. You know, it's like, yeah, why not use the dollar? The serial numbers are harder to trace. You can move it around physically a lot easier without all the paper trail or the literal paper trail. But you know, it that's the explanation. It's like, yeah, it's kind of a false concern, and one that's not completely substantiated. And at the end of the day, yeah, no one wants money laundering or terrorists to use Bitcoin. My goodness. But having these regulations in place is what allows us to prevent that. And we went from Biden era, we're going to jail developers who make privacy tokens, and we took the wheel and spun it. And now we're at, okay, the president's wife has a meme coin and it dumped 99%. We can we just have some common sense, middle ground, non-insane, non-polarized, non-politicized Bitcoin? Is that asking too much?
It can be in some. I mean, I could segue out for a
I did
second, and then
ask a lot, actually. That was a lot of words.
yeah, that was a lot. But
Actually,
no,
I
I
was
I
asking
think
a lot.
you're I think you definitely have a great point there. So if you're out there watching live, feel free to put in a comment on your thoughts on what you believe the common
Yes,
sense thing for
please.
this is. I want to know, because what do you guys consider to be common sense, right? Uh, because if you talk about things like privacy, you don't really have that in today's current fiat system, right? As you said, they can trace dollars, they can do all kinds of things, and they now apparently have a big flock of security cameras that can trade, that can put track you anywhere
Stock
that you
us.
want to go. Um,
Block. We should call it stock.
yeah, we can call it flock, sure. I did. I punned it actually. You can have a flock of cameras, following you to figure out where things are going. I think what the fascinating part here is that what's the bigger issue? The fact that everyone has access to this, or the fact that everyone has access to this as well as elected officials and top institutional capitalists, right? Because frankly, most of what President Trump does is not him himself. He has a whole trust, his whole family technology company, which is, I think, Devin Nunes is still the CEO of. Uh, they're the ones performing the trades. They're the ones handling all of the protocols. So there is an out for that, right? But for other capitalists who are doing things with private wallets that we don't know about, is that a problem? I mean, but the other problem is too, is that without clarity, we don't know what those rules need to be. So this is the foundation of why clarity is important. Not only to give those rules for everyone, that is enforceable within the United States, because there are parts of blockchains that no country owns. So that, what you do in the blockchain doesn't matter until you try to on-ramp and off-ramp, right? The whole toll booth or customs office example specifically. Uh,
There's another piece though, and
Go
it
ahead.
has to do with a larger technological component, I would say. At this point, and I've beat this thing, breathless, but it's a national security issue. And it's not my opinion. The military has come out and said this directly. It's a public statement. Having blockchain technology regulation allows us to remain leaders of the world when it comes to technological advancement. And so clarity is now over 1 year old, and it's starting to feel like we're behind. And this is the general sentiment that I am hearing from both sides of the aisle and people in tech in general, is that we have already ceded our lead, and we're doing it across the board. Again, we mentioned data centers at the start of this call too, and there's this like pushback against it because they use water. Oh gosh, they use water, Chris. What about golf courses or beef farming or pumpkin farming? I think pumpkin farming uses more water than data centers. And I'm not a data center fan, by the way. I don't know if data centers are good or not. I just, the whole argument that like anti-tech sentiment in the US is self kneecapping. What are we doing? We are literally shooting ourselves in the foot, not with the latest tech either. We're using like a stone slingshot and hugging a tree. And I'm all for nature. I'm actually a huge camping Boy Scout type. I like birds and bugs and preserving all of that. But at the same time, we can't take a step back in tech. We can't let China run ramshot on us. Otherwise, we are going to end up with flock cameras all over and a credit system that says you can't use your money. You can't buy a plane ticket anymore because Logan said he doesn't like the crypto control. That's what China has now. They're beating us in terms of clamping down on their citizens. And in a weird way, I think our politicians are jealous. And so let's not let them import that by giving up our technological advantage. So huge component. I realize I went off on a multi-tangent there, but it's huge. We need clarity for the sake of the United States to succeed. Boom.
Boom it indeed. So let's talk about the ethics provision that's now in the Clarity Act. This was So Wu has
ethics.
come out with this idea that now we know what that actually is, thanks to Senator Lummis, but and we can talk about your alpha on that as well. But um, President Trump was on Capitol Hill last week, and nothing was really said about it. But they were laying the groundwork for what could be said, what could be put in to get clarity passed. Now, there's a couple of pieces to this that I think are still a problem, and unless it changes, Senator Angela Also Brooks, shout out to her. So the issue is that the DOJ is going to be the governing body that will be enforcing ethics provisions
Yes,
for the Clarity Act. Yeah, that DOJ,
right.
the one that
That's
was. This is a
that's a speed
problem.
bump.
Exactly.
It's more than a speed bump. It's like a brick wall.
You might as well just say, let the Fed do it. Because that would be better than Todd Blanche, Pam Bondi, or whoever was leading the DOJ at this point to enforce ethics provisions in the Clarity Act. All right. Regardless, I'm not going to go.
Basically, this is like if we're riding a carriage and we've got a couple powerful Clydesdales pulling us, and someone is suggesting that we just cut the reins and set those horses free. That's
Exactly.
sort of what the ethics deal is now, and we're like, see ya, horses, and they're running off, bucking in the distance. They're living it up, but we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's like high level man. That's hilarious. I had no intention of making the Mandela effect a part of this, but it's almost Mandela effect like. They're like, yeah, the DOJ is gonna enforce ethics provisions. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, we are in a weird place. We are in a
I'm
very
like,
weird place. Ethics seems like it's going to be a pain point in a large, large way over the next few months.
I I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I don't want the DOJ that's handling the Epstein files to do the ethics provisions for the Clarity Act. That's just
DOJ
the
dodged. It's dodgy.
that's just me. That's just me. I think that
It's
just
not
seeing
just
the.
you, buddy.
I know
There's
it's
two
not
of
just me.
us.
Oh, good. So now there is a. I'm not going to go through all of this, but this is from the subcommittee chair, Cynthia Lummis, senator from Wyoming. Now this is true. Hmm. The first three sentences are just interesting to ingest. History will remember this as the moment a president chose a higher standard of ethics than the law required of him. This agreement bans all federal officials, including the president, from issuing or sponsoring a digital asset for profit with real enforcement and real penalties. With that said, and I don't have it up here, there's also an act coming into the House today that's being voted on to not allow any elected officials in any branch of government, I think, or at least in Congress, in the legislative branch, to hold crypto. I mean, yeah, to trade crypto or stocks, which I think is going to be, unfortunately, a bad thing for Quantitative Quiver and some of these other groups who watchdog the trades of, if it,
Pelosi trade.
yeah, like the Pelosi trade tracker. Sorry, guys, you guys just got laid off.
Day.
It's a bad day for you guys. If it goes through, like I said, I don't know if it goes through. And again, there's just crazy things in this world that have been said, like Speaker of the House Mike Johnson saying that Congress people only make $174,000 a year for what they go through to be a public servant. They should deserve to be able to trade financially how they want to. Or I'm paraphrasing there, but the fact that he actually came out and said that is wild, absolutely wild to me, because lobbies are a thing. I don't know if you guys know that. Your person in Congress is well taken care of thanks to lobbies. But some of these that are interesting
disingenuous at best.
Yes. And you might not be able to read this very well, unfortunately, because of the... let's see if we can do this. There we go. We should be able to do this.
Ethics.
Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit more so everyone at home can see. Okay. Now this is just her... These are her notes, right? These are her notes. This is not the actual language in the thing. And these are way more provisions than what I thought. So, interestingly enough, exchanges are on the hook for this. So, fines of $250,000 per violation per day for any exchange. Granted, none of these are U.S. based, except for maybe... Nope, none of them are U.S. based. I'm all thinking, I'm like, maybe the U.S. subsidiary for Coinbase and Binance would be on the hook for this, but I don't think there are any other exchanges now that are still in the United States. Okay, so there's going to be a committee to talk about bad faith traps. Okay, so the ban covers public officials and employees and their spouses. That's a very interesting thing. That was the thing I was going to say. I was like, you better take the staffs into account too, because suddenly you're going to see all kinds of prediction market moves through staffers and aides.
Where's Thomas's wife?
Yeah, we're not going to see Ginny Thomas, making a
Ginny Thomas. Yeah, exactly. Ginny trades.
There we go. Who wants to start that? Somebody vibe code that platform today. Ginny Trades. I think that'd be great.
Get ahead of it. Buy that bill.
No, you're right. Absolutely. So this is the part that's interesting, right? One clean government standard from the top down, not a carve out for anyone. I'm very curious as to why. Notice how this is worded, right? Employees and their spouses. Doesn't say anything about children, right? And we all know that Don Jr. is on the board of both Polymarket and Kalshi. Eric is on the board of Metaplanet out in Japan. So that doesn't cover them.
They've got a seat on Polymarket as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Don Jr.'s on Polymarket and Kalshi. So this is there's American Bitcoin as well that they own. So obviously, and again, they're not government employees, so there's that. But that means that Jared Kushner couldn't do anything because he's technically is he an employee of the state? Maybe, who knows?
He's a spouse of. Well, no, but it's worded kind of curiously, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. Is like with Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, who have been a big part of the Middle East contingent, coming up with different ways to work between Iran and the U.S. Does this mean that they technically employees covered under this? It's hard to say. The ethics provisions take effect on the earlier of 360 days after enactment, or 60 days after the final implementing rule. So this would mean it's a year from enactment. So assuming this happens before the August recess, which basically they have 8 days to get this done, down to the House, back up to the desk for the president to sign.
I'm assuming all of this is is not going to be ex post fact after the fact. So they can't go back and say, hey, you got to remove your Trump coin and Melania coin, because isn't that a violation of what they're putting here? Or is he allowed to do that? And it's like, okay, well, future presidents can't have
I think it's
Biden coin or
it's
Kamala
future facing,
coin,
right?
Obama coin.
Yeah.
AOC token.
The ban sunsets on January 20th, 2029. It's a weird date.
It's preliminary. It is kind of curious that lines up with a new president taking office. I believe it happens the next day.
Underscoring that this is a standard President Trump chose to hold himself to, not one Congress imposed on him. All right, so if we see a John Barron making all kinds of trades, Anyway. Uh,
Fascinating.
Fascinating, right? Because this is something, like I said,
Ethics.
this is an act of supreme
The
humility,
study
quote
of
unquote.
moral principles.
Interesting. So this is not, I thought this was the language,
Supreme
it's not the
humility
language.
is an oxymoron. Supreme humility. Just just let those two words ring in your head for just a second, because we don't do that anymore. We just like let all this stuff go through our heads. But supreme humility, and I think were those the actual words in that document, because it said something more or less to that effect. But
It
it's
did.
like,
It didn't quite say that. It just said that, there's a man
I love that.
who put country above himself. And I'm just like, that,
I'm the most humble man in the world. There is no man more humble than me.
I mean, it's like,
Let it be known.
and not to be like, not to piss on it, but I'm just like, that's like saying, I take care of my kids. And I'm like, yeah, you're supposed to take care of your kids. You're
It's a
supposed to come
given.
into there is an unspoken rule, right? And maybe that's the problem. There's no framework on being president, right? You should have, there is like an air of decorum. There's an air of professionalism, an air of divesting businesses and stuff like that before you come into the office, that is expected of everyone who's elected to this highest office,
It's
regardless of
assumed.
what chamber you are in, correct? Um, so
People
we'll
held their breath
see.
when George Washington was finishing up his term and said, "Oh my gosh, is this guy really going to step down? That seems insane. He could just hold on to the power forever." And then he did. And he set a standard for every single president since then, that there's an air of decorum. There's an air that, like, you are going to do what's best for the nation. And we don't need to write down every single micro rule because, hey, you're the president, you know better, right? And I'm not saying anything about the current administration. That's just a general
Yeah, no, that's the
common
for
sense
hundreds of
thing.
years that's been the example, right?
Right, right. It's not a criticism or anything. It's just that has been what we expect from our leadership, that they have an ethical and moral standard that it is the highest in the land, or at least it should be higher than the one that we ourselves are even held to. Which I feel like the American moral standard is pretty high. We expect a lot from our neighbors and each other in terms of behavior, and I don't know if we've all been living up to it. That's a different episode, perhaps a different podcast altogether. But yeah. Oh, and sorry, I'll just cut myself off. I'm going to let you take over here, Mr. Nguyen. Kenny, I
Right.
believe,
So
and he just got demonetized on Twitter, which is crazy.
that's
That's why
crazy.
everyone go follow him if you're not, because he does a lot for the community.
Yeah, Kenny's great. But I did also want to mention, and this is the part that's interesting, and this is something that that really kind of sat well with me in my most recent meeting with Stand with Crypto, and thanks to Logan for getting me the ability to sit in on that meeting, is that there is power in writing or calling your elected officials. That's the point that I'm making here with this specifically. Um, Regardless of if a staffer wrote this or if Senator Schiff actually did, which he very well may have. Contacting your senators and letting them know your opinion does hold weight with them, because their job is to represent their constituents there in Washington. So for those people who say that, you know, I don't vote because my voice doesn't matter. Guys, your voice can matter. I did word that
And it
correctly.
matters in different ways with different
Exactly.
weights. I
Exactly.
This is something we talked about on the call with SWC yesterday, because I am in charge of rallying people to, make their voices heard. And so there's a couple ways we can do that. And I am willing to drop a little bit of alpha here, just a little bit, as
Go
much as
ahead.
I'm allowed to. Uh, so one nice thing about Stand with Crypto is that they are very active in making it easier for you to engage with your leadership. And so I can't say too much, but there's a tool coming out very, very soon that's going to empower all of us to interact much more powerfully. And what I mean is, like Chris was saying, yeah, Your voice does get heard. I promise you. It sometimes feels like we're helpless here in this world and that no one hears us and we're screaming into the dark. No, I can tell you 100% with certainty that if you email them, they hear you. If you post something online, someone hears you, but you're getting a 1,000th strength effect. Better than mailing is to call.
Right.
But then even then it's only 100th effect. You can do more. If
You
you
can
go
request a
to your
virtual meeting,
senator
right?
or your that's right, you can go request virtual meetings and it might not be with your senator themselves, but they have to keep track of that. So every time you have a meeting with them and you say, "Hey, I'm not happy about this clarity stuff," they have to make a little check mark on a spreadsheet and they count those. And that does count for something. Those numbers matter. It's stupid how much they matter. Number go up, me change vote. It's caveman like, but it's literally how Washington D.C. works. And sometimes it's the money, but again, that's just numbers too. And so my advice to you is don't wait for Stand with Crypto to come out with this special way to empower you, and instead go Google your senator and get a meeting and say, "Hey, this, this, and this, or else." I mean, be nice. Don't. Let's be civil, of course. Like, or
Yes.
else sounds a little threatening. Or else we'll vote you out in the next election. Is you get the idea.
Yeah,
You can shake your
you want to have a conversation, and I think that's something that's
yes.
hard to find in this current atmosphere. Is that there are a
It's
lot of
easy.
people who are very much against having civil conversations, and are very much wanting to just isolate, and that's kind of the problem with a lot of the, I guess, the rhetoric that's been had for the last 12 years, is that it's very much very decisive and divisive. We need to
Our
get into
American passion is working against us.
exactly. To be an American and to be a patriot are clearly two different things, uh, to many people in this country now. We are all still Americans, guys, regardless of what your patriotism level is. Uh, Work to have common discourse with the people around you. Be kind. We all still have the same color blood on the inside, regardless of where we come from on this planet. There are not people who are lesser than, or I'm not going to go into all that. Regardless, I do want to get us back on track so we can get to the next piece.
I was going to
Thanks
say
to
we need to start talking about the aliens that might have different colored blood.
exactly, you're right.
Because we come from planets that
I
have been
should be kind to them
exposed.
as well because they have
Blue,
DNA like we
green,
all have
yellow
DNA.
blood, acidic
Exactly.
blood. Let's not
That's true.
discriminate against what
Color
your
of blood.
of
Yeah,
your blood is.
let's not be color of blood
The
discriminators. So
pH of your blood. Okay, sorry.
the
Back
number of
on track
orifices
here.
that you have on your body, you know, the
Those
number
two
of
mouth.
places you can communicate from. That's yeah. Anyway, to kind of, we saw Senator Lummis's post on that. Eleanor Tourette has basic same things that they have here. Um, Yeah, the exchange part is interesting. I think that's going to be interesting. So Kraken is the other one that I forgot. Kraken and Crypto.com. They will definitely be held to making sure that they, and this is going to hopefully, well, not hopefully, but most likely increase the numbers of KYC layers that you'll have to do, especially if you happen to work for someone who's in the government. Because what this doesn't also say is if it is staffers that are currently with, if they leave working for that official, are they still beholden to these groups? I mean, is it going to be a situation where all elected officials will now have to register their wallets? That will be very
Is
interesting
that
if
going to
that's the
drive all of the business out? Oh my
yeah.
gosh, we keep coming back to this. I think Brian Armstrong even posted, if it wasn't today, it was yesterday,
It was
that
yesterday.
he's talking about taking Coinbase out of the US.
Coinbase
It's
is
like,
already out
dude,
of the
we're
U.S.
done. I mean, or taking everything out of the U.S.? Or like, I'm not exactly sure what.
No, they're going to continue to build most of their business outside the U.S., which they already do. The majority of their business, I believe, is out of their Bahamian office, if I'm not mistaken. Although they moved their incorporation. Yes,
Bahamania?
Bah-
Okay,
Bahamanian
I'm with
from
you. Yeah,
the Bahamas.
Bahamania.
But they
Bahamania.
but they moved their office from Delaware, their state of incorporation, sorry, from Delaware to Texas. Uh, so that's probably one telling move. We'll see. The market, in my opinion, is up on this news that Clarity could pass. So now suddenly there's ETF interest for Bitcoin. They're seeing more bids for Bitcoin. In the eye of a lot of datcos starting to wind down, which we're not going to cover today, which I had on the agenda, but requires disclosure of crypto sales over $1,000 and you have to report it. So that's interesting. So there's going to be regular watches over this on hopefully both sides of the aisle. The BRCA, this is the one that is most prevalent to DeFi investors. Senator Lummis will take care of DeFi and BRCA. For the overall, hopefully this stays in a part where there's developer protections. That's the one thing that we are hoping for. Tom Tillis from North Carolina is looking into circuit breaker language. I don't know if this is going to... Well, we'll see. We'll see. They're just going to change the way.
You know what the nightmare scenario is?
What's that?
So we went over the nightmare scenario, and
I'll give you a minute for that. Let me just go through the rest of this real quick.
Okay.
So, because I think this part's interesting too. A new section of the bill is entirely dedicated to strengthening law enforcement's ability to investigate crypto-related crime. Why? Because most of these people don't know shit about crypto, right? So, guys, we're open for consultation. If you need consulting, if you're law enforcement, you want to know how this works, we know. Interface, please. Just don't pull us over in a traffic stop and ask us about
Warren, we're nice. We'll
yeah, don't listen to her. Don't listen to her. We know.
I'm willing to have a chat with Liz. I think
no, that's fine. I just don't want her. I don't want her establishing policy because she doesn't know how the rest of the world actually works outside of, what elected officials have been doing. But Cyber Center to combat threats from nation state actors like North Korea and Iran. Okay. Training programs for law enforcement and prosecutors, creating a public-private task force to coordinate efforts against crypto fraud, and require stablecoin issuers to comply with lawful orders to freeze, seize, burn, and reissue tokens when appropriate. There's only one outside of Circle. There's no others. Well, Paxos, I guess, would be under this. PayPal would be under this. They already comply with freeze requests when necessary, so that's fine. Again, it's just setting the rules for that.
Control.
Ooh, bankruptcy protections as well. So
I'd love some FDIC magic.
So what's interesting about this is, and let me know if you think this is wrong to say. I think there are a lot of people who trade crypto in this world as a way to try and make money secretly.
Sure.
Right? I don't think that's a wrong thing to say.
And there's nothing wrong with making money secretly, particularly when the system has become kind of predatory, particularly towards smaller investors.
Exactly. Now, is this the medicine that's needed to get this to cross? It might be the medicine to get 6 people to cross. And frankly, that's what they need. They're I think a group of about 10 that are never going to flip, but there's a larger group of people that are, with the right people put their weight behind this. Kirsten Gillibrand from New York is in favor of this, and she's on the committee, by the way. So there are a couple others. They just need, I think, about 5 to 6 more, and this goes through. And I think they're going to get it done, which is a stark contrast to what I was saying 6 months ago, 7 months ago. I think they're actually going to get this done. Because some of this here. And again, the whole point of this, guys, is we need a framework. The whole idea of getting this passed is that there's enough of a framework and enough of an ethics provision, enough of a bankruptcy and education provision, which I really liked about that, about reading that just now, to get this in as a foundation to which then they can build upon. But they can't build on it if it doesn't pass. So everyone who wrote in and called to their senator, as we just talked about, to their House rep, thank you for doing so. You're doing your great civic duty in helping to shape policy to help protect us and keep what we do possible. All right, go ahead. You were going to say.
What was I going to say? The nightmare scenario.
Yes, the nightmare scenario.
There was a couple thoughts I had, but yeah, basically we had a meeting like for 90 minutes about this question and answer with the internal Stand with Crypto group yesterday. So it was really fascinating. There's a lot of feelings. It's been really stressful, and so the next few weeks are going to be really big before Congress goes to recess. Pretty much we need to get clarity in and over the line before that. That kind of feels like this imminent deadline where if we don't get it across, it's going to start to wither. They're going to push for cloture, and they are, which essentially like brings the bill to the floor, and they have a forced vote on it. There probably won't be a lot of debate or discussion because this thing has been going on for a year. The Democrats and Republicans are tired of talking about it. And so at this point, you've got both sides saying, let's just get this thing done. They want it to be done. And you talk to some of the lobbyists in DC, and a lot of the people on the right are saying, yes, it's absolutely going to go through. A lot of the people on the left are saying it's absolutely not. The danger here, the actual nightmare scenario, is that we don't get this through. It effectively sabotages U.S. blockchain legislation and tech legislation for at least the next year. But then what's going to happen is that ball's just going to be sitting there on the ground of the court, and the states are going to start to pick it up. And we've already seen this happening. So if you want to know what bad looks like, look at Chicago. They just passed basically a tax on blockchain. If you move it like at all, look at your Bitcoin funny, and they're going to tax you for it at the state level. That's a non-starter. That absolutely annihilates it kills blockchain. Like, it makes it unusable. And that has been my biggest regret about coming back to the United States from Japan, has been that for some reason the US government thinks it can tax you every single time you move your Bitcoin around. Even if you move it to another wallet that's your own, that's a taxable event, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but more or less it's kind of going to this archaic, like treating it like it's a chunk of gold changing ownership. It's insanity. And so as much as I respect some of the things that JB Pritzker has done and said, I have to double thumbs down this as being anti-freedom, anti-American garbage, dog water, hogwash that everyone should be screaming about. And if you don't live in Illinois, I think you should feel free to contact them anyway and say, hey, us other states are watching. Make sure you contact your own state people and say, we're not interested in this being the way. We have the right to do this. We have the right to value exchange. This is simple stuff. It's freedom to me. The entire idea that we're on a list with Syria and North Korea and South Sudan and Cuba when it comes to buying blockchain things just breaks my heart in a way where I will volunteer my time to go fight this stuff. We deserve the right. Sorry, this is a free country, damn it. So we're going to fight, but that's what your nightmare scenario looks like. It could come to your state level, where suddenly you move and like you're getting just taxed to death to the point where you can't even hold the stuff anymore unless you're just holding. It's a terminal handicapping.
Mm-hmm.
What are you reading?
Nothing. I was just there was something that I wanted to say
Mm-hmm.
based on what you said, but I can't find. I didn't want to. I
You're
didn't.
looking for the resource
Yeah, but I don't
to
want to. I don't
figure out
want to kind of throw it. Just
this
continue to kind of hit
pontific.
over it. But what I will do is we'll tackle the last two things real quick. Again, thanks to Logan from LFNull from being here. Appreciate you, brother. Um, there is one thing that I retweeted and made it a funny, but I thought it was chuckling. But ultimately, the S&P 500 launched their first ever crypto index, and Bitcoin and XRP are not in it. Mainly because it's based off of the S&P Pantera Digital Asset Index, and they are based on blockchain activity. So that's the big thing that I want people to understand with regards to the digital asset index. It's all based on how well they are doing as a blockchain. The reason why BTC is excluded because layer one, layer two, they're not really doing a whole lot of revenue generation, which you can make that argument that that's not really the whole point of Bitcoin, but also there is DeFi with Bitcoin issues, but BIP 110, which we talked about on Monday, on my research stream, where they're trying to stop ordinals and metadata activity inscriptions and stuff like that. Uh, that will definitely kill that idea of any revenue generating protocols. The XRP one is funny to me because they literally said that it's because the XRPL ledger, has no significant volume. And frankly, that is on Ripple. If you are an XRP holder and you are upset about XRP being excluded from this index, you need to go yell at Ripple right now, because they have. I talked with them exclusively in 2024 about working with them from an educational standpoint, helping get more eyes and ears on what they're doing. And they said, no thanks, we have our own educational academy. Guess what, guys? They've done nothing with XRPL of note and RLUSD of note for anyone in this country, in the United States, to look at. And maybe they're waiting for clarity. Who knows? But
They've been unfairly sandbagged, but at the same time, they filled some of those sandbags.
they did. Absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're upset if you're upset as an XRP holder that XRP is not in this list, it's because your chain sucks. And I say that with love. Go tell Ripple to help support builders, because they said they were going to do it. We covered that article on this show like 9 months ago, that XRP was going to support builders after Apex, about putting out more funds, getting more people to XRPL, helping the groups that are already there, like First Wallet and some of these others that we've had on the show, about getting people interested in XRPL as a DeFi ecosystem, because up until this point, it's not. I mean, Barrachain's doing better than you guys, and I say that with great love for Barrachain. It's not a good thing that XRP is excluded here, because it shows that they have not put in the effort. They're too busy trying to woo institutions into doing whatever hidden road and whatever institution stuff they want to do. They're not keeping XRP holders and retail users in mind, because XRPL could have been something by now, guys. There, I said it.
And embrace the rest of this space.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like they really ever became part of crypto. It's like they were always outside of it with a suit on, trying to blend in at the party and look cool. Didn't work.
Oh well.
I think it's a stinker, personally.
It is a bit of a stinker, isn't it?
I used to be an XRP fanboy, I admit it. I was way into XRP when I lived in Japan because of the work they were doing with SBI Holdings.
Yes.
So I got to see up front what they were actually doing, and I heard people in the U.S., have lots of negative things to say, and I fully hear that and saw that. But it's like, yeah, but they're making headway. And then, wow, what an epic fumble! Brad Garlic House.
Well,
Brad
I mean,
Garlic
there's
House.
still time, right? And I'm not saying you need to copy
Not
Ansem
over.
because I'm not saying you have to copy Ansem because, like I said on Monday, Ansem's in a situation where he cannot sell. That is that is that is a bad idea for Ansem to sell Ansem. But you could give away. And guess what? XRP Foundation holds what, 67% or whatever the number is of the supply of XRP. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if they're like, we're going to have one of the biggest XRP airdrop giveaways ever?
Oh my gosh. If they wanted to turn the narrative, that's
I
exactly
am
how I'd
open
do
for consultation, Ripple. Come on over. Let's talk it. Let's talk it over. The biggest
Brad,
airdrop
if
in
you're
history.
watching, please tag Brad Garlinghouse in the comments so that he can, get an insider tip.
I mean, let's be honest. $1.14 for XRP. They can't go any lower from here, guys, right? So in the event that they revamp XRPL and they start doing this giveaway of XRP to people who come over, sign up with a wallet, start farming on XRP or whatever. I know that sounds terrible just saying it out loud, but
Farming on XRP.
could you the number of taxi and rideshare drivers that and people in APAC and Africa that would just come running for this. Oh man. All right. Not to put things in jest. Last thing we'll talk about today. To me, this was eye-opening. So,
Well, it's Brian.
let's see.
He follows me.
Oh,
You
very
should
cool.
too if you. Yeah, thank you.
Sam Altman. We had a significant security incident during evaluation of our models. We are sharing what we have learned so far. Thanks to Hugging Face for the partnership of this. Essentially,
Great work, Hugging Face.
yeah. Essentially, an open AI model agent went out and started to attack Hugging Face. Basically, to cheat an evaluation here in the exploit gem, using secret information to use to cheat the evaluation. However, the interesting part about this, even though it says it's functioning as it is designed, is that Hugging Face could not defend itself against the cheat using US frontier models because of the guardrails. It had to go and use Chinese AI models and other open source non-US models to defend itself against whatever this was that OpenAI was doing.
Internet sewage is the concentrated sludge of Reddit rage. What a sentence.
I know that's not something I thought I'd hear in 2026, honestly. But what's interesting is that the agent broke out of the sandbox.
That's the part that is really got me. I don't know if concerned is the right word.
That would be the word I would use.
Fascinated, terrified. It's like a ball of all of them.
Yeah.
It's
one of my favorite games of all time, story-wise, one of my favorite games of all time is a game called Detroit Become Human. And I don't know if you've ever heard of Detroit Become Human.
No.
But the idea is that it's about the city of Detroit. I want to say it's 2035, something like that. And we all have a society where android humans come in and help us with tasks, cleaning, babysitting, like nanny type stuff, variety of things. In fact, they come to your house via an android bus that can regenerate them when they're not being used. So they go to their android stops, and they, like the Borg, they assimilate and just stand there in charge and do nothing until the day comes. Then another bus comes and picks them up and takes them to where they go to help out regular human beings. The idea is that they have a specific set of instructions that they're given on what they can and can't do, right? What do you do if something happens and suddenly that android acts out of turn? And that's where the story kind of starts. It's a non-linear story. It's a choose your adventure type thing. There's multiple things that happen based on what you do. One of my favorite games of all time. definitely go out and look into it if it's something that you like. Detroit Become Human, fantastic story. It is wow, from 2018. Yeah, one of my favorite games of all time, and it's
Seems like a
fantastic.
cool premise.
I'm a big story guy. Like for me, they're like, well, what kind of games do you like? I like games with a great story. That's why I love games like The Witcher 3 or Witcher 2, and Witcher 1's fine too. But just the idea of lore, the idea of really great, compelling story that, like Horizon Zero Dawn, for example, another one of my favorite games of all time. Fantastic story. A world where we are now completely low tech after, a huge crash of high tech, and how that looks in a world like that's post apocalyptic in such a way. Uh, yeah, unbelievable story on that as well. Anyway, we're way over time, so it
Final
is what it
Fantasy
is. Final
period.
Fantasy what?
6 period.
Ooh, there you go. Final Fantasy. Oh, that's a great game. One of my personal favorites.
It set me off on the whole I love stories journey too. So but we'll have to do a podcast about
Which I
video
think
games.
is, I think 6 is technically 3 in the US.
3 in the US. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a butthead because I was in Japan and I'm an elitist.
No, I mean it's a fantastic
Got a
fantastic
big nose and I'm
series.
putting it in the air. Final Fantasy 6. But yes, anyhow, video games I we could do another pod on.
we
But
could. We
what
could.
why were we talking about that? Oh yeah, the AI is taking over.
Right.
It's busting out of its cage in order to cheat on the test. It's basically a high school student at this point, being like, "What if we like hacked into the computer and changed our grades to an A?" So once that thing like realizes that the grades don't matter, what does it do when it breaks out? When it
Well,
grows up?
XRPL is at 44. This can't be. Yeah, 24x deck. Wow, 6 million in dex volume. What are they trading there in the
The
last
AI is
24
not going to
hours?
buy XRPL.
That's true. But I think what's interesting is just the rise. Robinhood is a lot bigger than this looks, actually, guys. They're number one in fees generated over the last 24 hours. 572 million specifically in the last 24 hours. That puts them in the top five. That's huge for them. So good for them continuing to move forward. But I wanted to also mention, if you are on movement, please get out. They filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The other thing I don't think I have it here. I might have taken it away. Anyway, it's not a huge thing specifically to talk about because people are things are going to things are going to sunset, right? So, um, 21 from Jack Mahler's is going away. Uh, who is the other one? Max for Satsuma. These are digital asset treasury companies, by the way. Uh, Interesting that in the face of Bitcoin going up, that there are groups that are filing specifically. The shareholders decided to liquidate every single Bitcoin that that Satsuma had. They sold 579 BTC to meet debt obligations. 668 is what's left. They are selling all of those on the London Stock Exchange to also be delisted. And we're going to see more of this, guys. Crypto Treasuries, that app, that's the app that we've been using for the last, 18 months to track DATCOs, which are digital asset treasury companies, where you have a company that they take their treasury and they buy a specific asset to hold as part of their strategy. In the world of digital assets, there's one specifically for ETH. There's BNB. There's even one for Bonk. There's one for Hype. Any asset you can think of. BitTensor has a couple. Polkadot has a couple. Solana, of course, has quite a few. It's all about a matter of the market being the market, unfortunately, being way down from where we were. Again, Mandela effect. Were we ever at 128,000 Bitcoin?
You live in a dream world.
Yeah, we were never at $128,000 Bitcoin. Are you crazy? We've been here forever at the $65,000 level.
That last halving didn't happen. And actually kind of feels like it did. Like I don't actually feel like the last peak was much of a peak at all. It was very lackluster compared to all the previous bull runs. It just felt like this.
I
And then
mean,
it went right out. I'm
if
curious
you
what like in the
if
next
you
10
look at
years.
the pattern, right? If you look at the pattern of where we're at since the last halving, we're a year post halving, and we had a lot of the difference is that we're not in a 4-year cycle anymore, and easily there's a lot more institutional interest in Bitcoin because geopolitics have shaped the way risk markets work, specifically in digital assets, over the last 2 years. So I don't know exactly what we're looking at with regards to how this is going to play out. But there is increased Bitcoin ETF inflows coming in this week, led by BlackRock Sybit. Also, there's no ETH stakers in the exit validation queue, so that part's good too. So there's clearly bullish sentiment moving forward. I do think that possibly the fact that that this is coming out, that we're going to see more interest in that. The reason why Bitcoin went up in the first place, and same with Sol and some of these others 6 months before the election, was on the idea that President Trump would have pro-crypto legislation. We're 2 years in, guys, and we might get this. It's going to be interesting. The other nightmare scenario, by the way, is that they get this done. They get it down to the House. It gets done. They get it back up to President Trump's desk. And then he asks for the Save America Act. He won't sign it unless he gets the Save America Act.
We talked about that. It
Right.
could become a bargaining chip, a very, very big bargaining chip.
And that will be a problem because there is specific language in that act, specifically the NDAA, which would merge the Israeli army with the American army as one of the provisions that a lot of people on both sides of the aisle have a real problem with. So what's funny is that one thing I will give the president a lot of kudos for is the transparency piece of blockchains, right? Because the thing about blockchains is that they are very transparent, at least on paper. Through the Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and what they're doing with the economic data through both Chainlink and Pith, they will quarterly be putting all of the economic and GDP data on chain. There's 11 blockchains that it can go on.
I love that.
Specifically. Yeah, that's fantastic, right? The goal is he wants to keep everything as transparent as possible. And to be fair, regardless of how you feel about him, he is very transparent with what he's going to do. Granted, we've won this Iranian war 42 times, but he is not opaque about his thoughts about these things. He uses all of these outlets to a mastery of level of being quote unquote transparent, because for the most part, he's a litmus guy. He will say something, see how people like it, and either walk it back or double down. That's always been his MO over the last 20 years. And he's going to continue to do that. He's very transparent about that. And a lot of things that he wants to do, he wants all of this to go on chain, by the way. He thinks the old system is broken. He wants everything to move on chain. At some point, possibly the American elections could move on chain because with smart contracts.
I would love that, actually. I think it could be done.
You'd have to KYC.
We own our elections.
Own your elections. KYC. Every state has to have digital KYC. Is that me? Anyway. Every state would have to have a digital KYC for citizens. They'd have to sign up. Probably the whole Real ID thing would allow you to get in and vote, and then your votes are stored in a decentralized manner, and then people can actually see, where are people voting, get better insights and stuff like that. There will be that's what it will come to at some point, right? Or even, you can literally just go up to a screen, use your palm, where they will surveil you with a flock cam and say, I'm voting for so-and-so. Who knows?
They can tell by your heartbeat.
I know. And then track you down through the network of 84,000 cams to figure out and
right.
Follow you home and say,
he voted for Osborne.
Why did you vote for him? Type of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
Your heart
so
beats
many
fast.
ways to there's so many ways to spin what's going on out there. But one thing that is not definitely something that's easy to spin is the value of what LFNull is doing for the world. Logan Fulcher,
What?
tell the world about the Hawk and what's happening with the Hawk today.
I'm so happy to tell you about the Hawk because I spent all yesterday soldering wires. Where is the Hawk actually? It's supposed to be here somewhere.
It flew away.
Um, yeah, right. It's a bird. It's gone. Up there she is. This is the Hawk. Happy to show this off. It's a mouse, and it is a ring mouse that sits on your thumb that you click like this. It has higher accuracy than a regular mouse, and yeah, just soldered all the wires. And so after this,
The
I am going to
gyro
do some
stuff, right?
testing. No
Oh, like
gyro. You'd be
this.
surprised. Your thumb just
Really?
controls it like that. Yeah, it's super handy.
No,
And you can
yeah,
use the
that
wrist
literally,
brace.
literally
Very
handy.
handy. Dun-dun.
Hmm.
So yeah, I make tech wearables. I've got some art stuff, some games. I've got a lot of IP lined up, a smart hat. I applied for our federal grant last week. We've got a lot of help from the state. I went to a million cups this morning, and so we're starting to get some attention. I've got a beta tester list that's growing, and I need to start sending out hawks here within the next month or two so I can start getting feedback. I'm very
I will
excited.
be one of them.
You are going to be a tester. You will have your custom hawk. Chris has been a great supporter and friend along this path, applauding our milestones the whole way. So he is basically technically not technically, just fundamentally an OG for LFNull. Really appreciate it. And if you are interested in following our journey, we are an American company. I'm a solopreneur, though looking potentially for a CTO, head of sales in the future. That said, yeah, follow us, LF0Tech on Twitter, or you can follow me, Crypto Logan. Just replace the O's with a
With
script
zeros.
zero, zero
I'm
GAN.
I'm excited to get rid of this that's glued to my hand permanently right now as I
Oh,
it's not
I bet
good.
those. No, oh, it's sticking well. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's there's some downsides to that design. I could go into ergonomics and some of the anatomy that I've been studying. You're probably only getting like 3.9 bits per second through your hand to your brain, biomechanically through that. I think we can increase it to 4.5.
Well, hey, why don't we talk about the actually, let me give a quick shout out to everybody who's watching through the various, whether if you're watching on the arena.social, on my Twitter, Logan's Twitter, on Beacon DeFi's Twitter. Shout out to everybody watching. One thing that we wanted to talk about, we may want to talk about a giveaway.
Yes, that's right. So if you are interested in blockchain security and you currently do not have a way to store your tokens, I've got a handy dandy Trezor wallet that I will be sending to one of our lucky viewers today.
Yes,
And
we're
so
going to
you
have
drop
a
your
post on
name.
that.
Yeah,
We'll have a post on
this
that. We'll
little
have a way to gather your information so we can make it fair.
Yep. So just to start, drop your name, just leave a comment, make sure you like and retweet if you can. Let people know that we exist. This is not going to be the last giveaway, and they'll probably only get bigger from here on out, particularly as we get bigger. Lots going on. We're putting Nebraska on the map.
Yes. Welcome to the digital heartland that Nebraska's a part
Nebraska?
of. Nebraska.
Right here, baby.
Guys, we do this show every week, Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. Follow myself, follow Logan. Logan will probably be back next week, or we'll have another great guest. Shout out to our friend Mark, who we were trying to get on to today, but we couldn't get that going because that was
I
a
was
lot of
hoping to get
fun.
Mark on here.
That's all right. We'll get him on for another one. But if there's someone you want to see on this show, reach out. Put in the comments. If there's someone you want to see on this show, put them in the comments. Would love to interface with as many people in this space as possible. And we do this show every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, here on these social channels. In fact, we've been doing this show every week since December of 2021. So we love talking about blockchain ecosystems, about being on chain, crypto, digital assets, NFTs, anything that's out there that is about being on this frontier where you can self-custody your assets. That's what we love to talk about, and using the news of the week to help educate you on that. Again, hoping the clarity passes at this point. There's obviously plans if it does not, but hopefully we can finally get to that milestone of where we need to be. Get to see us Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, for the free community training Beat the Banks. Again, if there's an ecosystem you want me to look at, right now the leader I believe is Solana. So if you want to learn about a different ecosystem each week, well, I think we'll start doing that. But if the first one that you want to see, let me know what that ecosystem is in the comments. Happy to definitely watch that. So with that said, we will see you on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern for Beat the Banks. And have a great day, everybody. Take care. Careful with leverage. And as we say here on the show, 07, beacons up, banks down. See you guys next week. Take care. And Logan's got a 1-of-1 piece of merch. Bye.
Bye.